my friends have since stopped playing. And that's a shame, because the foundation is genuinely exceptional. In a time that floods us with 20-second reels, soulless mobile and idle games, that's actually rare. So I came home from work, sat down, booted up the PC, opened arcraiders and closed it again. I didn't die, I didn't rage quit, I didn't even load into a raid. Just looked at the main menu at Speranza and went, nah. And then I sat there for a second thinking, when did this start happening? Because I genuinely love this game, like embarrassingly so. I've recommended it to people, I've talked about it online, I've lost sleep over it. So the fact that I opened it and immediately closed it, that's not nothing. That means something. And I think I figured out what it means. In this video I want to talk about 3 things. Why arcraiders is still one of the most promising games out there. Why it's slowly losing the one thing it needs the most, which is us. And why I think that's actually fixable. Let's get into it. I didn't pick up arcraiders on day 1. I came in a few days after lunch, after some friends told me, you need to try this, and they were right. Those first weeks were electric. Every raid felt like it mattered. It was so intense because I didn't know how to defeat many of the arcs. I avoided enemy contact and I approached the whole game as a very atmospheric post-apocalyptic survival shooter. And don't get me wrong, the game is great. If you were to ask me now if it's worth starting, I would say buy it immediately. I enjoy the mechanics of gunplay, I have been stunned by the visuals and the sound. I watched the arcs become smarter, more agile and more dangerous with each patch, but my friends have since stopped playing. I'm still here, somewhere past several hundred hours at this point. That's not a flex, that's context. Because when someone with several hundred hours tells you they closed the game without playing, that's a different kind of signal than a first week refund. This isn't frustration. It's not burnout from a bad session. It's something quieter than that. The moment where a game stops pulling you in and you barely notice it happening. So, what actually changed? Here's my honest answer. The game ran out of things to want. And I don't mean that as a cheap shot, I mean it literally. At some point, and you know exactly when it happened to you, you realize there's no destination anymore. You're raiding, but you're not raiding for anything. The gear progression is designed around a voluntary reset every 2 months. The structure makes sense. Why pre-build, feel the climb again, like in every extraction shooter. But the peak comes too early and the peak itself is too flat. You hit your ceiling with weeks left in the cycle and then you just wait. Crafting has the same problem, but it's more specific. Consumables, explosives, crafting is genuinely useful there, but weapons? You find more than you can carry on a decent run. And the expensive crafted epic weapons, the one that should feel like an achievement, aren't good enough to justify the costs to build. The system tells you to invest and then punishes you for doing it. And then there's the ranking, the trials. Cantina Legend is the top tier, kept at roughly 1,000 players worldwide. The real ceiling, almost unreachable. And honestly, that's fine. Not everything needs to be accessible. But the tier below it, Hotshot, is already undemanding. And between those two, Nothing. No meaningful middle ground, no ladder to climb. You're either locked out of the top or you already cleared the floor. And before someone says that yes, there is PvP, but this game has always been clear about what it is. And the developers have been upfront about it too. A post-apocalyptic world where humanity survives underground, where the arcs are the enemy, not each other. I'm pretty sure murder's still a crime, Esperanza. The tension is part of what makes the game feel real, and PvP isn't the problem, but it's not the solution either. I'll do a full video on that dynamic soon because it deserves more than just this footnote. But here's what all of this adds up to. When there's nothing to progress toward, you stop exploring, you stop experimenting, you run the same routes, hit the same spots, take the loadout you know works, and just deviate for some trial sessions per week. Like that lightning one. That's the loop that killed my motivation. Not a bad update, not a frustrating session, just the slow realization that I've seen everything the game wanted to show me. The numbers back that up. This isn't just me. And look, Embark ships content updates reliably roughly every month. New arc threads, balance passes, quality of life improvements, that deserves credit. A lot of studios don't even manage that. But the fifth spherical rolling arc doesn't fix the broken progression loop. You can keep adding new pages. If the story has no finale, the book still doesn't satisfy. That's the gap between what arcraiders is delivering and what it actually needs. And that's a shame, because the foundation is genuinely exceptional. And I don't say that to soften the criticism. I say it because it's the whole point. The gunplay feels deliberate. Every weapon has weight, character, consequence. The sound design is some of the best in the genre. The way an arc sounds before attacking, the way the orbiter lands, or the way you can't hear anything because it's a raging thunderstorm out there. The visuals are straight cinematic. There are entire accounts dedicated to in-game photography or short films. And the arc themselves. Watching them get smarter, more coordinated, more dangerous with each patch. That's not accidental, that's the team that's doing quietly hard work. In a time that floods us with 20-second reels, soulless mobile and idle games, that's actually rare. So when I say the endgame is flat, I'm not saying the game is broken, I'm saying the game deserves better than what's currently sitting on top of that foundation. Give raids a larger purpose. Not just extraction, but something that builds over weeks. Helldivers 2 and even World of Warcraft back in 2006 showed what that can look like. A community-wide campaign where every run feels like it contributes to something bigger than itself. Arcraiders has the setting for exactly that. The crafting system has real potential that's currently untapped. A persistent blueprint progression, enabling weapon leveling beyond tier 4, more modification slots, a dedicated crafting skill tree that rewards the hours you put in instead of resetting back to 0 every expedition. Wouldn't that be something? And the trial system needs a serious rethink. One that's less dependent on spawn lock and lobby composition. That's a topic I'll get into properly after the PvP video. Embark. You built something genuinely special. The people still logging in after 100 hours, we're not here by accident. We're here because we believe in what you started. Don't let the end game be the reason to stop. So, has this happened to you? Did you hit a wall in arcraiders and just quietly stop logging in? Or are you still finding reasons to come back every night? I'm genuinely curious because I don't think this is just my experience. And the comments are exactly the right place for that conversation. Tell me where you are with the game right now, what keeps you in, what pushed you out. And if you got ideas for Embark that I didn't mention, drop them below. Seriously, let's make that list longer. I see you in the next one.